Ramogi. Ramogi is a name which you find in Uganda. I go to area right north of Uganda. And the first Ramogi was there, which died in Uganda. His son is the one, Ramogi is the one who led the first group of Luos into Kenya. They say there are two clans that look after it. A clan cannot look after a holy place. If you look at the history of the Luo all along, they have been having those places, religious places. And they have holy people who look after those places, not clans. I've never understood why the Luos in Kenya don't have holy people to look after those shrines, the one together with scientists, we spent a whole year studying that mountain. And I hope people will go there and study what is there and the names that are there. There's what they call a rock. There's all kinds of names. But in the end, what they are trying to do is preserve the environment. You are not allowed to cut any tree there. You are not allowed to. The whole environment preserved there. But what is lacking is somebody or some people who are religious enough and whose job really is to look after that mountain. And I would suggest those are some of the things they should discuss. This is connected with, again, what is very important, what I call Luo religious beliefs and cosmology. You know, you only worry about dead people if you believe that they are alive when they die. You know, there are people in Kenya who, when you are ill, you are taken to the bush, ropes were tied on your leg, and that was the end. They don't believe that dead people see. But there are very few people in Kenya, also communities, who believe in afterlife. And this has nothing to do with Christianity. This is their religion and their cosmology. And that's why they bother about all these things. Burying the dead, looking after them, appointing priests, all along. When you go to even Padola next door here in Tororo, I've shown it in my book, you find the priest is a very, and when you go there, you don't wear shoes, you go to but I see people going to Ramogi with shoes, some of them very dirty shoes. Because it's not being given the respect it deserves. But the religion and the belief in afterlife which inspires this. But communities which don't believe in afterlife don't have bother. And there are very few people who believe in this. Even when naming children, there are a lot of people who say, no, so-and-so appeared to me at night and said I should name this child so-and-so. Some even demand that I should be named. But that can only happen if you believe in afterlife. So as we celebrate Christmas, talking of birth and death and afterlife, we should also know that there are other cosmologies and religions that believe in afterlife, and they are the Luo, some of them. Secondly, I want to say something about the place of women in Luo society. This is very important. If you look at the Luo history from Khartoum to Mwanza, it's full of queens. Queens. Real queen. The first one was called Nyawira. You know Nyawira. And it's 13 something. Not recent. In northern Bunyoro. If you go to Uganda now, the place is called Pawir. It's still there. That was queen, and he created an empire. It's a big empire called Pawir. And so there are several of them. By the time we came to Kenya, and we didn't have kings, we didn't have queens. But when you go to Kadem, in South Nyanza, that's where we have the first Luo woman chief. Before the European came, the Germans found out there was very difficult German, the British in Kadem. But this was a pale reflection of what they used to be. But we had one, a chief. Secondly, the kings and the queens always appointed a woman to look after or run or lead a county. You're a king, and you have a country, it's too large for you. You don't find, they didn't send men, they sent women, that women were more loyal. If you send a man, start dividing the country. Still on women, there are several military regiments of women only, fighting independently of main regiment. And this happened up South Nyanza here, when the Luos were fighting against the Kisi, and that was not bad. They used women from Karachuanyo, Kasifuru, Kabondo. Regiments, women. But when we started writing about the Kipsigis, that was the worst war. And they killed a lot of Kipsigis people who thought they were just women. And the descendants of the women who fought the Kipsigis, Sibasio, and the late, no, he's still alive, Brigadier Upandi, who now lives in Kitale. Those are the descendants of the women who fought the Kipsigis and won. And we should, I don't know any people in Kenya who are the women armies. When Brigadier Upandi read my book, he came here with a whole clan from both South Nyanza and Kitale. And we sang and we ate here the whole day. And said, I think you are a good historian if you can discover our background. But we are descendants of these women. Without them, Kasipul, Kabondo, and Karachuanyo would be in Kipsigis. I'm not surprised we are still fighting a zone between Kipsigis and Luos at Kericho. You know, when you read old colonial books about the Luo, in particular in Sudan. You see them naked people walking who are supposed to be pastoralists. Most of them were not pastoralists. They were not pastoralists. They were keeping animals. In some areas, there were no animals at all. People were agriculturists. Others found mines and they became iron workers. It's a mixed economy. 2 hours from Sudan to Tanzania. I don't see anybody who lies on cattle alone. We're not pastoralists. This is the point I'm making. Right from the beginning, you see they are all settled along rivers. And the rivers, in my book, I've mentioned all the rivers. And they go on following rivers and lakes, rivers, lakes. When they found some small hill, they settled, but not a mountain. Lake. When they get to Elgon, there's a place called Molo now, but it was named after Omolo, was the name of the Luo settlement there, and the leader is now called Molo. But they refused to go to Mount Elgon. They ran away and they started coming down towards Ugenya, Manyala and Ugenya. Even Ugenya they found too cold. It is only in the 19th century, toward the end of the 19th century, that a few misguided ones went to North Ugenya, Game, North Teme, and part of Kasipulka. Show me any Luo in a mountain. They ran away from them. Opportunity was there. Even Kisi was not populated when the Luos got there. But they ran away from Kisi, too cold. They went to the lakeside. And the economy was based on that. Their vegetables, their what they who they ate and so on, which I will explain in detail. They are all to do with the rivers and lakes and so on.
The last question from me that you should address, there was Luo Union.
Their leaders, kings and queens, must be buried and mycelium. Some of us think this is a new thing. From about 400 years ago, you see it in my book, at Ulrich, beautiful architecture. No queen, no king. It's just after burial. In fact, you decide where you're going to bury him, usually the headquarters of the kingdom. But after that, make a beautiful mausoleum. As they move south, they are getting better and better and better and bigger. And they became much of a religious center. But they also marked the boundary of any kingdom. By the time they reached Bunyoro, where they established the Kitara Empire, as they moved, they established this thing. When the British wanted to take over that area, they went and annexed half of Bunyoro with all the Luo mausoleum and handed that to Buganda. So started what is called fight for lost counties. Because they took counties, several counties, half of Bunyoro counties, and gave them to where all these holy places were. And the war started. Until the Lancaster House for Independence of Uganda came. They could not agree on anything. Bunyoro and Obote insisted that it must go back to Bunyoro. The British were supporting Baganda. So they compromised and said, all right, let's make Kabaka of Buganda president of Uganda, which was very strange. But Obote will be prime minister on one condition, that you organize an international commission to decide on this question in lost countries. So, since Obote wanted independence, they agreed. He organized a commission. Commission did its work for a year and came to the conclusion that these things should go back to Bunyoro. Kabaka's president was supposed to sign that document. He refused to sign. Obote said, if you refuse to sign, I also demand my presidency. You cannot be president of Uganda who does not own our own.
Okay, that is Professor Bethwell Ogot, and I think the women in the house will see how women in Luo society have always been a cornerstone of whatever happens in Luo land. I'll now ask the DG to call one of our governors from outside. This
Your Excellency, with your permission, allow me to welcome the Governor of County 021. I hope I get it right. The Governor of Muranga, His Excellency Irungu Kangata, a very good friend of the region, a very good friend of my governor, Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, and was indeed one of the classmates of one of my colleagues. He was, at one point, by the way, a student leader at the University of Nairobi, doing a very good job. We welcome you. This is the 4th edition of the Piny Luo. We gather like this. At least this is the 4th edition, and we celebrate our culture and reconnect with our brothers and sisters from all over the countries where we live. Most welcome, Your Excellency. Wagone Lwedo Samobiro, Erokamano, most welcome.
Raila Amolo Odinga, the Prime Minister. We have His Excellency James Agli Orengo. We have the governors of Homabay, and also my friend Wanga, and also my friend, His Excellency Ochiro. We have Professor, His Excellency Governor of Kisumu. Allow me to reach there and say all protocols observed. God is good. Today is one of my happiest days because I've come here to celebrate one of the most important communities that have made Kenya what it is, the community of Luos. This community was there when we were fighting against colonialism. It stood with the people. They were given the position of leadership by the white man in consideration to betray Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. It refused. This community was there when we were fighting against the tyranny of single-partyism. It was arraigned, arrested, oppressed, but it stood and we won, and Section 2A of the old constitution was done away with, and we became a multi-party democracy. This community of Luo community was there when Kenya was struggling against Kanu autocracy, and through the efforts of Raila Odinga, Kanu was removed from power, and a new country was ushered. This Luo community was there when we formed one of the most progressive governments ever of NAC that gave us free primary education for all Kenyans, that gave us border for all poor young people, that gave us internet for all Kenyans. It is because of the work of this community. This community was there when we were fighting for a new constitution. The Luo community voted overwhelmingly and ensured Kenya has a new constitution. This community has been the forefront for the progress of this country called Kenya. And therefore, when you are born, you do not make an application where you would wish to be born. But I can tell you, being a Luo, you should be very proud. You have made this country go forward. Personally, I've come here also to thank a friend of mine when I was 19 years old and I joined University of Nairobi and I decided to enter student leadership. The person who believed in us, young people that time, was none other than James Orengo. He gave us money to put out posters, and I was not from his community, but he could see something little in us when we were young. And therefore, that act of humility, supporting young people, I have no doubt, can only be done by other Luo. This community, when we were suspended in the year 2000 from University of Nairobi, we were 58. I can tell you I was the only Kikuyu in that group. 80% were Luos who were fighting against corruption in University of Nairobi. And that is when I realized Luos have a special something in their blood for fighting for human rights and the betterment of this country. And therefore, looking outside, looking into this community, I want to give you an assurance. The future can only be better. If you continue fighting for what is right, fighting for the truth, this country can only be changed, and the people of this community have to be in the center in that change for the betterment of this country. You are special people. I don't know whether it's because one of your main dish is fish, and we all know fish has special nutrients. No wonder when it's come to the intellectuals of this country, some of the best engineers, the best lawyers, they come from this community. I will finish by urging Kenyans, we come together, we build a better country. We will together, we make Kenya. Kenya can become one of the most richest and progressive Africa countries. That is possible. But that can only happen when we come together. We do away with tribalism. We fight against ethnicity. And I have no doubt this community will help us in that Kenya where we shall not be thinking ourselves as Kikuyus, as Luos, as Kambas, as Kalenjins, but we are talking about the project called Kenya, and I will be there to support this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor Irungu Kangata. When I went for Long Gumbaru, we were in the same class, so he's a good friend of mine. Now, the CARE has organized for Muluor Raila Molo Odinga with his guests, with the governors, with the elders, with the MPs and the facilitators for a traditional Luo cuisine just in the next tent as we prepare for the breakaways. So you'll go to the left for a traditional cuisine, then thereafter there will be breakaway you shall be shown the tents for the political class, for the religious leaders, for the elders, for the youth, for business people and academicians on socioeconomic development. So with that, I want to call Bishop Abuka, or no, I'll postpone it. I think we just break for the traditional cuisine and those categories. You go to the left, and then after that, I'll make an announcement right in that tent on which group will go to which tent. In the meantime, to that tent, please. All
Now, we had seen how men are dressed for occasions. This is now a woman in full gear. From Legisa, that I'm putting on, in Chungaga. Then this one is just a squad logo. Then this one is called Rek. And in Doluo, when a woman of dignity is fully dressed, we say, Ma, we are Rek. From this is not from Seychelles. But this one is here with us. And this one is now not there. It's not easy to get. So this is a woman in full gear, a dignified woman dressed that way. This one is a representation of a bed. We used skin because you can just have the skin. So for sitting, sleeps. For sleeping, for sitting. For sitting. We continue with the lecture. Local brew is served here. And then men use, this is polo. It is called a setting. It's suited with the sea, so that you don't take in what you don't need. Then women were given, women were given, they also do the same like the So women were served using calabashes, and they sit down behind the men, so that when everybody gets warm from the brew, then people begin dancing around. They dance, and then we.
Correction. The one that you drink with calabash is called attire. When you drink with straw is called barley. In barley, when a woman comes, she goes to her in-law, not her husband. And then she kneels down and then the use of the straw
Okay. Yeah. Good. Nice to
when it comes, she comes and now she lives there, she can drink from there. See?
Through the straw. Coming from the calabash.
This is through the straw.
Yes.
Okay? But that's what is also happened. So that is Mare. See, there's the one you drink with this one here is attire. Attire, you know, is when it's ready, you filter it through Piny. Piny is here. Put in a pot and then it is warmed. So that is now. Take it now. I drink like this. Okay? With a beautiful memory that is there in your tear. Bari is the one for the elders. She put it here in this pot. This pot is actually put under you dig a hole up to here, submerge it. And you suck. Everybody has got his own temperature. But then when it goes down beneath, you bring hot water.
Oh, the Mare itself.
This is Mare. Okay? So you get that right. Mare, you know, is fried. Attire is cooked. So you have to cook it, go and put it outside. Cools. It cools, then put it in a big pot, and then you pour water on it. Then you cook it all. Then you give it to now mature.
Thank you so much for that. Okay. In our culture, Quillbird is considered so we just continue. Okay. It's considered a very delicious food for the Luos. So it is trapped using this trap. Then it is cooked.
Moro is on top of a tree. The tree never patches on a tree. It just jumps from one place to the other. So when they hear people singing there, they're looking for it on the ground.
Yeah.
That's where they meet with the traps. Okay?
So they are trapped.
Designs.
Then here we have some of the traditional seeds for our traditional foods. We have bok. Bok has a lot of proteins, vitamins and minerals. So when we prepare it, we put a bit of that milk as kind of like a pot to soften it so that when we eat it doesn't give us a lot of problem. And there is pumpkin. You know, pumpkin has a lot. We eat even the leaves. So the leaves have a lot of vitamins, iron, and with the other vegetables. So, in our culture, men used to milk, and some women are also trained for milk, and these are milking jar. It's called whale. Maybe these days we use those plastic ones. The concept was from when marriage had gone. After milking, then we pour it in. This was Ogudu, Markuan. This is Ugali, a representation of Ugali, of course. And this was the Ogudu, Markuan.
Adita.
Then a towel, not of fish. Then there's something that is a bit unique, the way the Lugos cook fish. We have a temperature regulator inside between fish and the pot. So that even if you're engaged somewhere, we are used to multitasking. So you're doing something, it protects the fish from getting burnt. Swallow is another size of towel, but it's of the back. And they are close. We normally do this as we remove the chaff from the grain. And then the grinding is done. I don't have a grinding stone here, but I have a grinder and a sharpener. So before you tear, so that this surface is rough, the surface of the grinding stone is rough, so that you can grind your flour in your pole, and the pole, and your tin. And your tin is somewhere here. So you pack your flour here or here. That is the name of one of our recognizing their teams. So this is for fishing, and these are for shopping. I want to show the data.
Koro kaini wanie bibiwa magdilu machon mane wati yoga kodenya kamini kata wikana nipend mon mane ibetu gode jokendo kaka koro oriet yende ochwako mach mone bet oriet yende kama koro choro maenika aguche maro higla mutede rech kanyo no kete gimilugo ni onduaro ne ye kanyo mondo kikrech moki nikech mach ngenya yenya kagulo semako mach to koro bedo gi mach mang'eny rech no kosetoke itede titoke mae oswaro mane itoke rech koro kaeni an ga gwata nieni agwata mar madho nyuka to makoro maduong' kata koro mayero koro koduong' kiluongo ni agwata wal mako olne nyuka mang'eny to iluongo ni otek mani watumo kodo chak wanyalo tiyogo ni nato chak mano otek
agwata wal nipimogo I or mondo ne ka chiembe ng'eny
Onduaro is put into this ohigla such that the fire which has been burning the ohigla and it has been very hot does not, it prevents fish from sticking onto the pot. Okay, and then here we have got our sare. Sare and shell marnyang. Despite that one, this one is very small, but we have got even larger ones than this one. And then to make our ugali, we had to use oliho, which also is called olutkwon. People who are living in Uganda and the Lego areas call it oliho. But the ones who pass those areas coming to Seme and Kisumu region, we call it olutkwon. Now here we have got seeds, various seeds, mwapedo, mapkotolayo, marolayo. Maeni wan gi kodhi mar nyim waluongo ni same. Wan kodgi kaeni, there are various, there are many mabel maruchuti. Bel wan godo kodhi mopogore opogore. Koro kaeni wan gi kothe manene watiyoga godo kaka joluo.
Just hold on kapok idhiye, gima nikane kodi chon, donge ne kode, uyude kode, nikane kode.
Kondo moro makane kodi.
Nikech
plastic to nyo biro ni wanyoro, to koro nyo ayudo mondo wayude kar ting'o, nyo ok wayudo mar tondo no maber. Mak mano, wanyalo temo dwaro. Okay, erokamano. When I come here, koro an gi mortar gi pestle. Pany gi rayoki. An gi pany kanyo ariyo, wayoke njugu, wanyayoke kata yath bende, wanyalo swage iye kaeni. Kato an gi koya moro kaeni, mabende koya moro maduong', nyo pok otiyo, nyo kor kwa yude an gi ko mosetiyo, mabiro nyiso kwa chopo kama wane gi mo mawuokie ko, wabiro yude bathe kocha. Koro kan gi gigo mane watiyo godo, tools, working tools. Working tools wakaeni, maeni en le, mae le nyaluo. Popogre gi le moko matinde waneno kande, le nyaluo en mana kama, to koro mamako ni, iluongo ni log le, ok lwet le, kata ok bad le, log le. Le ni en jaduong' nyalo gole, ogole kaini koridwa tu kode ahinya, mokane, to kamano enyo kane to nokane iguru mar dir kendo ni. Mokane nikech samoro, nyithinde nyalo bedo manyalo tugo gi le, to le en mar jaduong' e wuon go. Kaeni, an gi koyo, this for carving, mwapecho godo, en mopayo kode gik mag yende gi te kata odwa loso pany, kata odwa loso mana magi te, wapayo gi koyo. It is a carving tool. Mae ni nene rapuru mane wadoyo ga godo, rapuchwa, makasiri, to twege okod rabolo, fiber mar banana. Kaito en kako tweye ni eni, onyalo mbekni, to kombekni, to mondo ride, to pi, emiyo oleka, emakuru, miyo dogo ridore. Koro wabedo gi rapucho ma en mwadoyo gode, en mane mine nyiso wago, ni ene marwa mar doyo. Maeni en wanego Ramogi kaeni, dala Ramogi kaeni, kama kite ng'enye ni eni, kidwa tong'o yien moro, to ka eni biro go kidi, to koro wiye ni odore kochiko koni. Mae ma kidi tuomo, to kidi ok makma. To koro mzungu ka nobokre biro thuro ka boneno giro maber ni. En koro dhi loso mare, to dhi loso ma wiye odok koni, ma kitong'o godo, to manyaka kidi maki. Koro kata ne gikokowa, to pod ne aneno mani wayombo gi, mano ratong' mar tong'. Koro kwa tong'o an gi maeni mama naka koro ol, me mosirre godo, odunga mar mama, odunga mar jaduong' te, mar odunga mar jaduong'. Koro ka odunga mar jaduong' ni e bor, yombe gi bor, koro ka mesa pot, ka koro kata jaduong' ti, kata kotinda tini, koro abe koro arungu wan godo kamane gi manyaka ne waber ga eni ma yuwo mako gote tugo die to koro kedo maduong' aduk kaeni mai ni na sere atunge mare nyoto mwakanya ni e koriyo to kina kel moro to maya sere makane waywayo kwa keti atunge to koro ko wete to kodonjo kuomi to bende koro waneno man kori bed mos
Mama no matam.
Koro ka an gi tonge ma kore chuny kedo Makudo bunyi boya, udu chiangani, obunyi kichole, udu choda. Sakoro kobogo pe. Oh. Obunyi kichole udu choda. Tong mar kue. Wagi tong mar kodo kai. Ma tong bunyi boya ni ne maru makuru mar tugo godo mos. Mino kaki tugo goro di koro di tugo tong tugo ma ok en ma kedo cha tong dindo to nende aonge kodeka en malo kori tong to kwani ni bedi inya jo kodeka tamana re yeni ina koro ngamodi e kedo no kanendi kedo maber ngamu kedo maber to lale ga gi ngato kor ka ngokuoni koro ene mi gi milongo ni tora tora ni nen la kinjiri wato ene makakor tora mano ja tora mana medal maru warrior. Thank you. Ngamu sendeko.
Kuro kani kwadwa nono wach mandi nyimeka. Kwadwa dong duomo no oriwalo no ayud wach mandi nyimeka. Nimisa maler. Nigagi onindo marach na kwacha kwa nuoe. Dwaro wacha die. Anoe. Ine no kagi mon ya taroni. Ngati to bodi gad mare lowendi. Uno kagi modong umora umate. Giumere gi ginene gi bondegi gagi monda taroni manu bodyguard mare jok ma lawete mal mo haure gote ta oyombo mabo manu raile ura moja Piny Afrika kaka wachono mano gagi koro yie una ko humoro ka apod pega misinya dia pinge kabisa da wan gore gonya tiengwe na dika wike kate ni bakubura to kai mama kubura ai go ai ku onya yenga ero kama koro right one day we will go take the buga koro diro mika ane je tola chiel oro to mai koro musical instrument and kibo eto waru dege ka mano rotu elo se ko tien ngech mai ni tien ngech to the other musical instrument man go kaeni enya titi ene tumu madunga enya wajuduo manunya titi makakoro nendo se leta pe muliere ni magi percussion mare gara to konya duo in gara ni tielo kini wana boy maeni en oporo muchete ora gatu mutamo con mabe kina chio Koro kumbumo kodhi First World War. To kagiduro koro gero ni to moro nitie kaeni mwaluongo ni kinanda ma be joma joluo mang'eny osego ahinya. Adon mito I think the one walo an godo ka molos gi saison ma koro ka kata jomiel ma minego setweyo kor walre tomiel ka biro gi kamoro ka koro anege seche mane ji ni e turo kaeni jaduong' bedo ni nigi kwesine moro mombo kosetiele tobacco itielo kama be kikete mat koro ma iluongo ni kwesi to maeni ne ywayo ni madhi kama iluongo no ondhuch kwesi ema en gima otuch nyaka beni otuch kaka oseke ondhuru mar kwesi madho kwesi kende ma okete ndawa ne ok mi wich bed mawach ahinya kaka ji dwa dhi e kendo sama koro wadwa dhi e kendo wadwa ni wigo bed mawach moro mathin ibedi ni koro ok inyal dok chien koro wachamo gimiluongo ni mae ni nyalowo to mae ni puga gi nyalowo kae ni watiele nyasore miluongo ni njaga kosetiele iye kanyo maber e puga katwa ole pi mang'ich maler kabisa koro kosetielo nyasochwano kanyo maber mwaketo mwaumo wiye kanyo maber twaketo mach gi malo koro ka ywaye to to maji mini dhi menyore to kaka maindo liel chande to wang'o nyasore cha moko mule ok matinde nyithindo ketre godo kaeni koro koto gik moko kaeni ma kaka to ketho koro mae yeno dhi adhiamo to wich moriere
Sama mare jake loso.
Nyaki wipak. Pak osiepni.
Siepni kata manyako moro to kata to siepni ma nikora pake baru jantie ngene wi mangungu mecho yalo no buche tete iminjo kanyo kaneno mama kama to kore wacho no ai pas goro ma pien due magi ataya mane joluo bero godo due tinde en sama wachti yude ok yot ahinya to dak e itogo kamano mato nende pien toro ong'er moro mabede modak e ong'eny tinde kabisa ere mar Rift Valley kucha ere ma Kitale gini kanyo biro kong'er mar toro nitie mabende manowi manotoro wan warwake seche ma wanie entertainment mae kom nyaluo manu ka pili aluru aluru ndo kama ngema ma chamo bendagi an galuche ka mana bende mana maber maenda keto kaini mondo tamie oro ka kapo kati kanyo an gilau mateko ne ng'eny ma mondo yud ng'ama tinde ni godo kata jodongo mane bedo godo ne ok yot ahinya iluongo ni joho ni ka pime bane kata kuru seche gieki yudo ni jok manigi pao mamalo rwako ga lewni mana madwa chalo kama kine ng'amiluongo ni jaji kine ng'amiluongo ni speaker mar bunge to kine ka koro wadhi kata ni koro graduation mani kotindo warwako gudu mar somo lao machalo kaka ko joluo ne gi lao modhial mamar ker
Mere kori.
Otwange. Inyalo rwake.
Mae kore kuzubakane.
Mae ni mbele ne. Menyi. Otwange gi lao mateko ne ng'eny kabisa makuma nene bende mondo ne yude kit lao gi nieni.
Okan Japan.
Korea, Japan, Korea ni global kali.
Greet you. Thank you for inviting us here. The governors who are here, led by Governor James Orengo, Ruot Mewa, Ladit Ruot David Achana from Uganda. All the cabinet secretaries, including our own Minister of Defense, Honorable Oboth. And all the leaders here, we especially thank Keluo for the leadership and for the message. You see, when I was at Makerere, Governor James Orengo contemporaneously was the president of the student union at Nairobi University. I was president of the guild at Makerere University, same time. And a great and brilliant leader had gone ahead of us. One of the most iconic presidents of the guild, Makerere Guild ever, is none other than Governor Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o of Kisumu. So in a very special way, this is a reunion of sorts. Today we are at the foothills of God Ramogi. You see outside Gulu, there is God Ramogi. The R and L became interchangeable because of our association with the Bantu. But outside Gulu in Amoro district is God Ramogi. Some of you will know that in Africa's history, one of the fiercest resistance to colonial intrusion came to be known as the Ramogi resistance. That's when the Ramogi clan at God Ramogi outside Gulu mounted a fierce resistance to colonialism. The colonial order only subdued them after the use of chemical weapons and starvation. So one of these days soon, I hope, you will come to Gulu, you will go to God Ramogi. Now, Piny Luo, what does this denote to us? Piny Luo denotes three things to us. It denotes the Luo people. It denotes the land inhabited by the Luo people, Luo land, wherever they may be. And it denotes, thirdly, the interwoven Luo civilization. That's what Piny Luo denotes to us. When we speak of the unity that is in the theme of this year's gathering, that unity means the oneness of Luo people. Common history, common ancestry, common language. But the diversity in our theme denotes the multiplicity of clans among the Luo. The Luos are divided into clans all over. For example, Game clan is very big here. Game is very big among the Central Luo in Uganda. The same clan. But also, diversity means that because of colonial borders, the Luo communities are now divided into separate ex-colonial administrations. So I just want to share with you this. First, what is it that makes the Luo people distinctive? What makes them stand out? What is particular about them? Yes, they have got some choice land, but there are other people who have more choice land than us. They have in the past had communities which were prosperous and well-to-do, but there are other communities which are more prosperous than us. In numbers, we are moderate. There are many communities much bigger than the Luo community. But what is distinctive about the Luo people is Kitwa. That is what is distinctive, Kitwa. In the Luo, the Luo of Central Luo of Uganda, we say Kitmewa, same as Kitwa, where we've tried to compile the attributes, the qualities, the traits that define the Luo character type. We've just published this 2 days ago in Gulu, and there are copies available here. I suppose what is here isn't very different from the character type here. For example, among the Luo, it's very important to be lagem, to be trustworthy, to be faithful, to have fidelity. When the colonial administration went to Ramogi and said, "We can make you the first leader of Kenya," while Kenyatta was in Kapenguria, Ramogi said, "Uhuru na Kenyatta." That is fidelity. That is lagem. That is faithfulness. The same Jaramogi, when he perceived that the chosen path had been lost, the same Jaramogi said to his friend, "Not yet Uhuru." That is fidelity. That is faithfulness. And when Mzee Kenyatta passed on, Jaramogi walked in alone with his fly whisk and gave, we call it PM, we call it Much Much in Central Luo, the incantation that pays tribute and gives praise to the great works of the departed. They had parted ways, but Jaramogi was faithful to the monumental contribution of Mzee Kenyatta. He did not rewrite history. Today, when you go to the museum in Bondo, you'll see as much of Jaramogi on the walls as you'll see of Mzee Kenyatta. He did not seek to rewrite history. That is faithfulness. That is fidelity. Our people valorize being truthful. We say ada in the Luo in our area. Truthfulness. Truthfulness. Our people, like those who are Jowat, they relate to others. They welcome others. They live in happiness and generosity with the others. Jowat is a very important character trait among our people. Our people say, Jopiem, Wahero Piem. They see a challenge, a major challenge, like God Ramogi, but they are undaunted. They say, we must overcome this challenge. That is the spirit of the Luo. Those are part of the Luo traits. Our people like to have good humored banter and teasing. We say ore among our people. Their teeth are out. They like to tease, to banter, to make others feel at home. That is quintessentially a Luo character. The Luo people are not parochial. They are not inward looking. They are cosmopolitan in their outlook. So when they're in Luo land, they welcome others. In Central Luo in Uganda, we've had others who came, and even we said, Guchamo ke in our place. They got big positions and were elected to big positions, but in their blood, they were not Luo, but they became part of us. That is the cosmopolitan aspect of the Luo. When they're in Nairobi or in Kampala or in Mombasa, they reach out. They become part of the web where they are. They don't remain exclusive. They respect, they learn, and they integrate with the others. The Luo people are quintessentially cosmopolitan. They are a people who value their tradition and history. Jaramogi was so deeply rooted in the Luo tradition. I had the good fortune when I was ambassador of Uganda to the United Nations to get to know the great man at close range. I would welcome him at JFK at the airport, take him home. He would stay with me when he came to the United Nations or going to Canada or to Cuba, and would spend hours in the evening at dinner talking. Jaramogi was deeply, deeply rooted in his Luo tradition. That is what gave him the confidence to accept and to respect the other communities as a Kenyan nationalist and as a Pan-Africanist. So these traditions, our people, we say, Dogi Pekila, they were people who would not touch the property and the money and the assets of the community. It was a taboo. Grand corruption was a taboo within the Luo community. And so, what made our people, gave force to our people, is not our land, not the oil wealth in Gulu and Nwoya, not the vast land that we may occupy in places. It was Kitwa, our character, our values, our moral code, our do's and don'ts, our sense of what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. That is what gave force to the Luo community. And if we lose that, we have lost our bearing. Similarly, the Luo people love knowledge and learning well before the Europeans came on the scene. They would know everything about their environment, about cultivating the land, about hunting, about history. The same people would know all the dances and the songs, and they would beat the drums. Their history, their sense of knowledge was a unified field of knowledge. It wasn't divided into silos like the European system of knowledge. That's our people. That is why when the Europeans came with classroom learning, it was easy for the Luo people to connect to that, because already they had in their history, in their culture, a very deep well of loving knowledge, respecting knowledge, and learning. If we lose this, this is our soft power. This is our real power. If we lose this moral bearing, these values, these metaphysical assets, we have lost our way. So my first and most important, I implore you, Jacob, I implore you, Peter, I implore you, James, work day and night to make sure our people don't lose their moral bearing, that we do not become a Shauri Yako society. Because if we do, a society in which anything goes, we shall have lost our Luoness. It's as clear as that. And secondly, our people, our forebears, their force was they were rooted in their culture, deeply rooted in their culture. I spoke earlier about Ramogi, how deeply rooted it was in the Luo culture. You know, we have a particularly rich cultural heritage. If I speak of the Central Luo alone, I'm sure Ruot would have come here with the dancers of Buola, of Otole, and Piri, and La Raka Raka. The list goes on and on. He would have come here with the musicians who have various instruments to play. I've barely seen that anywhere around the world, and I've gone around the world quite a bit. Such rich, incredible artistic expression. I remember very well the French ambassador when I was in Paris. I'd organized a little concert for Jeffrey Oriema before he became very well known. And the French ambassador was on leave, and he told me when he was told I was from Uganda, he said, "Where from Uganda do you come?" I said, "From Gulu." "Oh, Gulu?" I said, "Yes." Then he made a confession that when he went to Gulu for some function during the Troubles, they prepared some meal for them. And the French ambassador said, "As you know, we the French, one of our items of great pride, our calling card around the globe, is what they call our cuisine." But the French ambassador confessed to me he was shocked to discover somewhere in the middle of Africa, a community he had barely heard of, had a cuisine that was more exquisite, that was more plentiful than the French cuisine. That is our culture. We have something called ododo. I don't know what you call it in the Luo here. Ododo are the fables, very elaborate fables about animals, about the elephant and the hare and the lion, but they tell moral stories to the young people, which we tell to our children at Wang O, the fireplace. I've not been anywhere around the globe where I've seen such elaborate and intricate and really important stories as our fables or our ododo. If we abandon our culture, if we abandon our cultural roots, we shall be a floating people with no force and no energy and no power. If we abandon our language, we no longer speak it, we don't read it, we don't publish it. A language which is not spoken, which is not published in, dies. This rich culture will disappear if we don't embrace and reinforce it. That is my second message to you all, Jatela, who are here for our people. And then thirdly, I said earlier, this is very important. There's a reason why the Luo have been such committed nationalists, whether in Uganda, in Tanzania, in Kenya, wherever they are, but also such passionate Pan-Africanists. There's a reason for that. Because of the cosmopolitan DNA in us. That's the reason why. Don't abandon that. do not embrace discrimination and segregation. It is not in our DNA. We are a free people, a liberated people. We embrace others and their cultures. We respect them. We just do not want anybody to disrespect anybody else. That is all. That is all. That is all. We do not seek hegemony, domination. No, not one bit. We want mutual respect. We want equal opportunities. We want everybody, all of us, to have our place under God's sun. So let us not lose our cosmopolitan character. And then, I want to say this to you. Among the Central Luo, the Acholi community in particular, listen to this carefully. The Acholi community is facing an existential situation. Existential situation means you are delicately balanced between certain death and survival. That is where that community is hanging right now. The Central Luo community has radically and comprehensively collapsed. You heard me right. It's a radical and comprehensive societal collapse. The culture of which I spoke, the educational capital and heritage that one can speak of, the music and dances, the prosperity of the progressive society that was, and our moral order above all has collapsed. This thanks to some 20 plus years of warfare between the government and various rebel groups, and the internment of the entire society in camps for 20 years, in conditions that many of you are familiar with. That has produced a radical, comprehensive collapse of the Central Luo society in Uganda. Just now I'm coming from Gulu, where we had a convocation called Goreme Pongduo, Convocation of Pongduo, because the first convocation we had last year was in a place called Pongduo. The reason for that convocation, which is being led by our Chief Justice in Uganda, Alphonse Windolo, and myself, is we gathered all our leaders across the spectrum and said, faced with this existential situation, what can we do? Not what the government can do or what the US can do, but what can we do? And we decided that we must come together and make every effort we can in our weakness, in our vulnerability, in the collapse which has taken place to save this society from extinction. That's the reason for Goreme Pongduo, which we had first last year, and the second one we've just now ended yesterday in Gulu. I bring to you greetings from Chief Justice Owindolo, who wanted very much to be here, but couldn't make it. And our message to you is that the Central Luo of Uganda was a hugely important pillar of the Luo people. I say was, because of the existential situation we are facing. The Luo people and Luo civilization is much the weaker without that pillar. It is in everybody's interest, all well-meaning people of goodwill, women and men of all communities, to join us to work to rebuild, to restore, and to transform a fallen society. That is why just 2 days ago, we came out with these two publications. The first one is Chikpa Kara. This is the commandments of the community. Kara is the community. Kara is the society. We looked into our society, saw the moral corrupts, a society that was so morally strong, had clear do's and don'ts, and we are now floating. And we've come up with this. The Attorney General of Uganda said, there is nothing in this that collides with the Constitution or the laws of Parliament. You can proceed to work with this and enforce it within the Luo community. Now, you may look into this and find things which are useful, but this is the commandments that we have compiled for our people. Here is Kitwa, or in the language of the Central Luo today, we say also Kit Mewa. We discovered that our people who were born in the camps and grew up there don't know what qualities we are talking about the Luos. Because they have not been taught, they have not been inculcated, they have not been exposed to it. So we sat down and compiled some qualities which are crucial, critical to being a Luo. Among them, some of the ones which I just cited a little while ago. So, my dear brothers and sisters, this is my message to you from Achole land, from Gulu and the Goreme Pongduon, which just ended. We are looking forward to a Pan-Luo convocation. One of our resolutions says in 2026, we would love to have a big Pan-Luo convocation. It can be here, it can be in Uganda, it can be anywhere, we can discuss that. But we want a big Pan-Luo convocation. Finally, my message to you is this. I have had the opportunity to be associated with the United Nations and other international organizations. With the African Union from the time it was the OAU. I was actually there when the African Union was formed. I've worked very hard to strengthen some of its institutions. I know what it takes to be a leader of nations. I know what qualities are required to push Africa to the next level today. Africa needs a person of conviction, a person driven by conviction, not self-interest. Africa needs a person who's gone through the baptism of fire, who has fought the struggle, who knows what it means to be in the dungeons. And Africa needs somebody, Machwinye Tech, somebody with courage, somebody with a somebody Magene. Africa needs somebody, Machwinye Tech. Africa needs JPM because we have so many challenges to overcome. The timid, those who are easily daunted, cannot face those challenges. And above all, Africa needs a person who is passionate about the well-being of the ordinary people, of the ordinary Africans across the land, across the entire continent, and to whom segregation and discrimination along sectarian lines, along ethnic lines, along national lines are foreign. And so, it is not because he comes from here, it is not because Jacom is a Luo, but because this is what Africa needs today. That a few months ago, my friend Salim Lon and myself wrote an article which has been widely syndicated across the globe, recommending with all our heart and all our force and all our conviction that Wotwon that Woodluo, that Jacob, the blessings of all our ancestors, the blessings of all our people, all the Pan-Africanists who preceded us, that those blessings may shower upon him, because he's a leader Africa has been waiting for. I thank you. I thank you, and God bless you, Joey. Joey. Erokamano.
Hiyo ndo secret yangu to a moisturized and bright skin.
Try nice and lovely lemon lotion today.
Body of Christ. Now wow. I don't want to ask you if you've been betrayed before. Don't lift your hands, don't lift your hands, don't lift your hands. Just keep it there. Let it be between you and the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And for those of you who are still wounded, there's a balm in Gilead in the name of Jesus Christ. Are we together? If you see me stand by a junction to your house pricing hot corn by myself and say, Madam, I'm arguing and I'm touching the thing, I'm cleaning, and say about this and that, I know you will just laugh, but something will affect you. You will just say, no, it's unnecessary. Not at this level. There are some things that are not pride. It's wisdom to protect your focus. Are we together now? I was going to assist a gentleman one time to marry, and then among the budget, he brought a budget for honeymoon. I said, you are joking. You're joking. You are joking. You think just because a man of God is a giver, we are foolish? No. Many years ago, I used to share this humorously. Those days when we started and I started traveling, I didn't used to wear all these kinds of things. I would just wear a polo and a jean and my palm just flying. And you see the people waiting at the airport for the great man of God whose message they have listened to, largely audio. So most of them have not seen me. Usually a few people will recommend to the church, you need to bring this man of God. Then I come down from the plane and they're looking at me. They're wondering, is it my protocol? Is it this? And when they see me, you can see the shock and the disappointment. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for. And then I greet them sometimes and they're like, okay, that's the car, please enter and let's go. It's not my fault. God put the grace in me. Hallelujah. Seems we're going to dance to this song tonight. It's got something in my heart.
Somebody shout hallelujah. It is so sweet to serve Jesus. Yesu yeche